Oh, what's everybody? Welcome to System Crafters Live. Interesting that they jumped to that screen instead. Yes, now that I'm like totally back in reality, I'm David Wilson, and we're back again with another regular Friday stream where we get together as a community and talk about whatever topic I've come up with for the day. And today is no different. Sorry, I'm like completely unprepared for starting the stream apparently. What's that fancy website? Oh, yeah. I shouldn't have done that yet. So I'd like to say hello to the folks who are here so far. Sean, Alejandro, Christopher, Case, Gunn, Richard, Abu, Yale, Arnaud. Nice to see you all. Thank you very much for being here today. Sorry, I'm a little bit scatterbrained at the moment. I've been working like nonstop on some important things today, so I'm a little bit burned. Hello to Emmanuel. So anyway, today we're going to do something kind of interesting, and we're going to explore a Wayland Compositor or window manager called dwl-guile. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but I think it's going to be one of those streams where we're going to try to hack around and see if we can make it work, because I haven't tried it yet, and we'll see how far we get. But I got a feeling that we'll be able to make some stuff happen. So I've at least installed it and executed the binary to see that it runs. So we've got that far. At least we're not going to have to scratch our heads about why it's not running. Hello to AD and Elijah. Nice to see you. Hey, Jeff. So anyway, updates. Let's get into that first. First of all, the new System Crafters website, which I kind of like showed for a second there, will be officially launched next week. I feel like the work is 95% done. There's just like a couple things I want to polish up around like the RSS feed situation and maybe around the list of all the live streams. But it's looking good. I'm really pleased with it. I hope that it's going to be a much better basis for building on going forward, mainly around developing full comprehensive written guides like I've been mentioning the last few weeks. Everything is sort of like focused on that now, but also tying in all of the video content that I've produced up until now, and then the stuff that will be getting created from this point forward. So I think it'll be a much more effective resource than it has been in the past. It's kind of been just like a show notes dump in the past, and I didn't like that. So been working on that a lot, but I won't be officially launching it, even though it's visible, until next week. Until then, I would definitely recommend, if you're interested, to sign up for the System Crafters newsletter. This is a new thing that I'm doing. I've wanted to have an actual email-based newsletter for a while, because I feel like email is the sort of the most common type of way that I can reach you that doesn't require like some third-party platform, like let's say, Twitter or Mastodon or anything else like that. So email's a lot better, and I want to do something interesting with it where it's actually its own unique source of information from me, from the channel, etc. Obviously, we'll have updates about what videos are coming out, what guide updates are coming out, news from the community, news from the wider Emacs, Geeks, etc. spheres. But I'm also going to do like some kind of unique pieces of information that get included with it, like let's say some details on something I was experimenting with that week, or maybe a few links of things that are interesting that I saw that week, that sort of thing. So it will be useful in its own right. There's a lot of things that I would talk about, but like I can't make a whole stream out of it, and I don't really want to make a whole video out of it. And I can definitely post about it on social, but I feel like there's like some middle point there where maybe there's some room to elaborate a little bit further without it being like a full-blown piece of quote-unquote content. So that would be the place where I would try to put some of these things in. So I'm looking forward to that. And that was the the website I was showing just a second ago. It's just basically the landing page for the newsletter. And you can just drop into this page, put your name if you want. You don't have to put your name and your email address, and you can subscribe there. The nice thing about this is that it's only going to be plain text. It's not going to be any of those fancy HTML style emails that have all the tracking pixels and crap like that in it. It's just going to be plain text going straight to your email client. So don't worry about any kind of stuff like that. And also, the plan is to send out an email every Thursday. Maybe like in rare cases when I'm trying to like get the word out on something important, I would do more than one email in a week, but it really is just going to be like a weekly email on Thursday. I'll use that as a way to announce what the stream topic is going to be, maybe whatever video got released that week, that sort of thing. So I think it's going to be a really cool way to engage with what's going on here and to stay up to date, so you don't have to like worry about seeing me post on YouTube or seeing me post on Fediverse or Mastodon, etc. So it's a good way to follow things up. Case says, is it going to be a listserv as well? Like a listserv? Well, it depends on what you mean. This is only going to be like a broadcast mailing list, but I'm also planning to have some discussion lists, but they may only be available to patrons at some point in the future. I'm certainly open to input on that, but at least on this case, it's just going to be a mailing list that is run by a kind of nice service called simplelists.com. So it's like legitimate mailing list, but it's not any kind of like that, Aweber or MailChimp or any kind of freaky stuff. This is actually like a real mailing list where you can go see the archives and things of that nature. So, can you respond back? Well, you can reply back to me in the newsletter emails, but for the other discussion lists, that would be something where people can actually talk to each other. So, yes. Anyway, just wanted to let people know about that because I'm pretty excited about it. I've been telling people to sign up for updates on the Ko-fi page last few weeks, and I was just like, I don't like having to use like a kind of a proprietary site for this. I would rather have like email to do this. So that's why I spent the time to try to put it together for email instead. Okay, so I mentioned Ko-fi before. It's the site where you can go and buy me a coffee if you want to support the channel, which would be great. Also, if you want to learn more about Emacs, the book Mastering Emacs by Mickey Peterson is a very good resource for deepening your understanding of Emacs, learning a lot more about things that we've talked about on this channel. Mickey set up a really cool affiliate link that helps to support the channel whenever you purchase a copy of Mastering Emacs using the specific link. So if you haven't got a copy yet, probably, whoever has seen me talking about this for the last 3-4 months probably has gotten a copy already, but I'm just letting you know if you haven't seen that yet, that the link is here. If you don't know much about Mickey and his content, check out masteringemacs.org, and his blog has a lot of articles that go really into depth on a lot of topics related to Emacs, so you'll be able to tell sort of what the quality of the content of the book is. So definitely give that a look. All right, let me see what people are saying in the chat here. Jeff says, just need to be able to hook it up in GNUs. I don't know. I guess you should be able to do that. It's not like a news group, but it's a mailing list for sure. And Kay says, someday I should buy Mastering Emacs. Well, now's your chance. I bought it probably in 2018, I want to say. Maybe 2017. I can't remember. It's been a while back. I haven't personally read it in a while, but I know what's in it. And I've looked at the table of contents more recently. All right, so today, and you'll notice that some freaky text sizing problems are here. I just updated my Emacs config on this machine, and apparently I had deleted some things that I needed for my streaming setup. I forgot. That's okay. But today we're going to try an interesting program called dwl-guile, which is what I mentioned before at the beginning of the stream. I mentioned a few times recently that I've really enjoyed switching over to Wayland via the Sway Compositor window manager recently. I felt like it's a very smooth desktop experience in the sense that hot plugging and having your desktop go across multiple displays works well. Device management works really well. It's just really simple and straightforward to use. That probably has a lot to do with Sway itself, but I think that the way that Wayland is designed might be, having something to do with that because it's more focused on hardware accelerated rendering and, having more direct access to the hardware and not through some kind of server interface where there's like a protocol involved. I could be wrong about that, but point being, I think Wayland is sort of the future. People have been saying that for a while, but I kind of believe it now. Wayland-based desktops can be a lot better than Xorg based web desktops that we've been using in the past. So the thing that we haven't really had yet, or at least that I haven't seen a lot of yet, is any kind of Lisp or Scheme configurable compositors. And that's what dwl-guile is. It's basically a fork of the DWL Wayland Compositor, which itself is a port of the DWM window manager for Xorg. And probably you've heard of DWM. It's very famous. It's basically a C program that to configure it, you have to actually edit the C source code. Well, this is, the DWL program probably is like that, but dwl-guile at least allows you to pass in a Scheme script to configure the window manager. Plus, it has the ability to have you connect a REPL to it so that you can mess with the compositor and window manager while it's running. So that's kind of perfect for what we do here because we're doing a lot of things with Lisp and Scheme and REPL-based development. So I wanted to give this a try today to see how far we can get with it and to see if it might be a useful tool for building our modern Lisp-based system crafting tool set. Tools like Sway are great because you can easily automate them using Scheme. I think I did a stream maybe 2 months ago where we were writing a Scheme-based configuration format for Sway, and you could do that even through a REPL too. But this is more real because it's effectively a Guile wrapper over the C core of DWL. So that should be pretty interesting. Kia Wolf says, want to become famous? Upgrade your stream or viewers.shop. Yeah, I want to be famous. Yeah, I see how well being famous goes for a lot of people, and no, I don't want to have anything to do with that. Kolkoskan says, since your last stream, I've been trying Meow. Looks very promising. Can't wait for your next video about it. So on the topic of Meow, I've actually been using it quite a lot over the last week. And I switched back to Evil in the last 2 days just because I had a lot of things I wanted to get done, and I was kind of fighting with the muscle memory a little bit. But Meow's pretty interesting. There's things I like about it. I need to go into more detail in a video or an article or something. But I think that if you're a person who's never used Evil or Vim style key bindings before, it would be very, very useful. But if you have been using Evil or Vim for a long time, you might have some trouble getting used to it. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try it though. Okay. Let's see. Tim says, I love mastering Emacs. Plus, it gives you free updates for free. I bought it a couple of editions ago, but I have the latest two. I usually prefer ink on paper books, but you can't get free updates on those. That's true. Yeah, it's a great fact about mastering Emacs. When the new versions of Emacs come out, Mickey always updates them for the latest version of Emacs. So it's a living resource that will always be up to date based on whatever is happening in the latest versions of Emacs. That's also a reason why I want to do more written content on my website. Because videos, once you make a video, you cannot update a video very easily. So having a website means you can update the content anytime. So if something changes in Emacs land or there's some new way to do something, then I can easily update it without having to worry about re-uploading or re-recording a video, which is not something I want to do. There's so many things that I made videos on 2 years ago that have changed drastically. Let's say MU4E, or even org Rome. Things have changed in org Rome since I made those videos. I can't go back and update those. I mean, I could, but it kind of feels cheap to go remake an old video when I could just make something new. So that's why I don't do that very often. Sometimes I will. Hey, Benoit. Christopher says, I hope the dwl-guile project takes its documentation philosophy from GNU rather than suck less. Yeah, well, suck less is kind of like get good, nub kind of situation. I noticed when I installed dwl-guile that it installed some documentation related tools. I'm hoping that's because it does have documentation. All right. Upgrade, side grade. What are we talking about? Downgrade, side grade. Can't upgrade a video very easily. Not with that attitude. No, definitely not. Tardigrade. QQQ says, I switched to Meow after 10 years of Vim and a couple years of Evil mode. Love it so far, but missed Jump List. Need to see if there's packages for it. I don't know much about Jump List. Hey, Mines Mezar. Live forever. Okay. Gaming Means No says DWL is C. Yes, DWL is C. I'm quite sure. And dwl-guile is a guile wrapper around the C layer, as far as I know. Let's just pull DWL up really quickly. So this is definitely a C program. You see dwl.c here. It basically follows the same model as DWM, where there's a single C file, but this one might be a lot more code. Let's see. DWM. Where is the source? Source. I'm not downloading a tar GZ. So GitHub DWM. There we go. Okay, so we got to go to this. Jeez, every link in the world is not working. Anyway, I don't care that much. I just want to see that 14 years ago. Wow. All right, so that's also about 2,000 lines. So it's not too much different. I'm not downloading the tar GZ. I don't feel like dealing with that. Alejandro says, crafted Emacs V2 Alpha looks nice. Yes, we should take a look at that soon, for sure. Let's see. Gaming Means No says, I'm using Nimdo now. It's a Nim port of DWM. Would be interested in porting it to Wayland. That sounds cool. Okay, anyway, point being, DWL is a C-based Wayland Compositor / window manager. And then this dwl-guile is effectively a fork. You can see it got forked from DWL, but it's 442 commits behind DWL, so maybe they're not keeping things up to date. Don't know, but it's a wrapper on top of dwl.c, which you can see right here. I'm actually kind of curious. Let's see if they have Guile stuff wrapped up in here. Yeah, oh yeah. Okay, so we got some SEM init Guile, so they're definitely pulling in the Guile runtime into this program, which makes sense. So let's take a look at the README really quick, just to sort of get a sense for what they have to say about the project. The main goal of dwl-guile is to serve as a minimal DWM-like Wayland compositor for those who use GNU Guix system. So right out the gate, what they're saying is they intend for this to be used by Guix users. Guile and Guix are very intertwined because Guix uses Guile as its configuration language, or actually the whole thing is effectively written in Guile. So a Guile-focused Wayland compositor kind of meshes very well with Guix because there's a lot of features of Guix, like let's say Guix Home, also Guix packaging for all the Guile dependencies. Makes it really easy to pull in something like dwl-guile and then plug it into your Guix Home configuration and have that be a main part of your configuration. So they kind of give you a lot of the stuff that you have to do yourself for free, in the sense that you can just say, I want to pull in this Guix Home service for dwl-guile and just have my configuration right there instead of my Guix Home config, which could be pretty cool. Let's see. Yes, dwl-guile integrates the window manager customization with that of the rest of the system, which allows for a dynamic, programmable, and reproducible configuration for our entire computing environment, all in Guile. So that sounds pretty awesome to me. We just have to see how well it works, what the features are, etc. So the file share/default.scm contains an example configuration. You can script the configuration to your heart's content, since it's written all in an actual programming language. Let's actually pull that up because I'm curious to see what that looks like. I have not looked at this yet. All right. Oh, that's pretty small. And let's see, what else? Evaluate expressions in real time using dwl-guile-e as expressions. So there's like a command line program, or the program itself. If you use -e, you can send S expressions to the running session, I'm guessing. Sort of like how you can use Sway Message or i3 Message or other programs like that to send commands to the running session. Sounds like dwl-guile-e allows you to do that. So you can automate tiling, changing tiling layouts, binding keys, and things all on the fly. There's no need to restart the compositor if you want to try something new. And apparently you can hook up Geyser to it to control it while it's running. So if you want to have a tighter integration between Emacs and dwl-guile, you could do that through Geyser REPL. And you can, I think, pretty easily use Geyser functions to send expressions over to the REPL So you could have Emacs Lisp commands that are binding certain things to send commands over to your session. So you could automate window management in the larger system from Emacs if you wanted to. So that is, it gives you some more options on what you could do. Obviously you can do that with Sway too, but I feel like having a more direct connection into the process rather than having to just constantly run the IPC process for sending messages, maybe it's better. We'll see. I don't know. Probably a lot better for experimentation on writing custom code in your configuration, which is the kind of the interesting part for something that's inspired by DWM. With DWM, you're not using features that are configurable per se. You're actually writing C code to add new features to the window manager yourself in a lot of cases. Or you're taking patches that you found off the internet and applying them to the code to add new features. So in the case of dwl-guile, what you would be doing is writing Guile Scheme code that can control the windows and maybe set up custom window layouts. And maybe you want to test that while you're working on it, but you can test it with your running session, which is kind of cool. Okay, let me check the chat really quickly. Case is telling me I could just use curl. Yeah, I could use curl. That requires switching contexts. You know, I'm just complaining right now. What can I say? For free, it says porting window managers to other display protocols is very complicated. Yeah, you know, porting an X window manager over to Wayland, it's completely different. There's no way, only at the logic layer, when you're thinking in terms of abstract concepts like windows and coordinates, sure, that part can be ported if you've written your code in a way where you've sort of abstracted away the actual window manager protocol. But even then, you can't really stay protocol agnostic perfectly. So if you are trying to rewrite a window manager for Xorg to Wayland, it's going to be a complete rewrite. I don't think that you're going to end up having a lot of the same code. AD says, I actually tried installing Guix yesterday, and I somehow broke Package Manager in the same day. I remember having problems understanding why when I install a new window manager, a D doesn't create a new desktop session. Well, it depends on where you're using it. If you're installing a window manager using Guix install at the user level, then those desktop files don't get created in your system. If you're using Guix system, then you should add the window manager to your system configuration package list. That way the desktop files get put into the right location where Xorg is looking for them, or whatever, where the login manager, or the session manager you use, like GDM or Slim WM, was it just Slim? Light DM, those things, wherever those are looking for them, the XDG path for those. So yeah, make sure you install it in your system configuration and not your user configuration. Tyler says, is Guix particular about what specific hardware you're using? Out of the box, yes. I'm currently using Arch with an NVIDIA card, but I've been debating making the jump over to Guix. So the thing you could do with Guix is to use the non-Guix repository or channel. Non-Guix is a community channel that can be plugged into your Guix configuration, which has the full Linux kernel. It has drivers for AMD and NVIDIA graphics cards, plus a lot of other things that you might need. So pretty much anyone who has a modern computer, and it's not like a ThinkPad X220 or something like that, you're gonna have to use non-Guix to install Guix on your computer to have the right drivers for everything. So follow my installation video and you will see how to do all of that, and you will get your computer working. As far as installing the NVIDIA drivers, if you go into this repo and just search for NVIDIA, they have all the packages you need under this non-GNU packages NVIDIA module. If you look in there, it will have all the stuff you need. I also think that on the System Crafters Wiki, that MiniKN had written a guide for NVIDIA that I need to port over to the new site. NVIDIA. I don't know how up to date this is, but you should be able to use this for installing the NVIDIA drivers. Kay says, this stream is already at the top of DuckDuckGo. I don't know how that happened. That's pretty funny. If you search for dwl-guile in DuckDuckGo, apparently the stream shows up at the top already. I don't know why. Drashal says, why not use Hyperland though? Hyperland is not configurable with Scheme. That's the whole point here, is that this is Scheme configurable window manager. It's meant for that purpose. Let's see. Yes, Benoit says dwl-guile is behind quite a bit compared to DWL. Yes, it does seem like that. And Benoit also says most Wayland window managers are based on WL roots. Yes, indeed. That's probably the only way anybody can write a Wayland window manager, because it's so complicated. That's one drawback, I guess. I suppose, well, I think writing an Xorg window manager is not so bad, because there's like this XCB protocol and libraries that make it more straightforward. But since Wayland actually requires that you write a window manager plus compositor at the same time, then it's way more complex than the average person can handle. So you definitely need something like WL roots to simplify that process. Irko, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. I would use Wayland-based tiling window managers, but unfortunately I have NVIDIA GPU. I stick to DWM at the moment. Yeah, there is some issues with Wayland and NVIDIA from what I understand. But if you use the Nouveau drivers, if your device supports it, if your card supports it, then that works with Wayland pretty well, I think. All right. So let's take a look back at that README a little bit more, see what else we can find. Stream is also a third number on Google All tab. Cool. Amalve just says, we should system craft an Emacs Wayland Compositor. Somebody's doing that. Whoops. I clicked that. I didn't mean to. So Emacs Wayland Compositor. I don't remember what the name of this project is, but there's a video from EmacsConf 2022 about it. And a few people are sort of talking about this. I think it's something that eventually will happen. I've thought about it before, though, you know, it needs to be done in a way that's asynchronous, like properly asynchronous. And I think, you know, when we discussed EXWM, what year was it? 2021, maybe? We discussed what to do about EXWM because the primary maintainer, the creator of EXWM, sort of disappeared off the face of the earth. We don't know what happened to them. We were talking about how you would design a better window manager that Emacs can use or be a part of, I suppose. And one of the ideas is that you need to have like a sort of a separate process that can accept messages from Emacs. Emacs still appears to be driving the operation, but if you are going to stop your window manager or your compositor from accepting input because Emacs is blocked on something, then you're going to have a bad time, which, you know, anybody who's used EXWM for more than just trivial work has seen this problem. So it's a problem. For free says Emacs being single threaded just won't cut it. Yeah. But there's other ways around that. You don't need Emacs to be multi-threaded to do a window manager because it does have asynchronous I/O. So if you have an external process that Emacs is communicating with, then it's conceivable that you could have that be independent of Emacs to the extent that Emacs just sort of like sends and receives messages from it. And if Emacs ever gets blocked in the actual program providing the window management, or let's say the window control, because Emacs is doing its own window management. And if you have something like EXWM, I know, sorry, we're getting too much in the details here. If you have something like EXWM, Emacs is using its window manager to control window positions of Xorg windows. So it's like sort of telling them where to show up. But if you have an external program, Emacs can still tell it where to put the windows on the screen, but it's not Emacs that is like having to directly talk to the Wayland protocol. It's somebody else doing it on Emacs' behalf. So I think that could be a better way to do it. We don't need a multi-thread Emacs. Christopher says, Emacs plus Geyser plus dwl-guile sounds like that project. It won't be exactly the same. I mean, honestly, it could be. It depends on how hookable the window layout setup is. If dwl-guile would allow you to catch window creation and put it wherever you want, I suppose it would. Then in theory, Emacs could decide where on the screen that window gets placed. And then when Emacs windows get resized, then it can send messages to dwl-guile to tell a particular client or a particular window, like actual graphical window, I don't know what you call those, to change its size. So it's possible. It's possible. Benoit says the other Wayland alternative to dwl-guile most likely is Qtile and Hi. Not fully sure how mature the Qtile port to Wayland is, though. I know that people use it. I've heard people using it, so that is possible for sure. But not exactly the same, because you still have a translation layer between Hi to Python. At least with Guile, it's actually scheme. So whenever you're evaluating expressions, it's actual scheme code being evaluated and not like a transpilation to another language before being evaluated. Anyway, back to it. So they say the best way to install and configure dwl-guile is through the Guix channel home service dwl-guile, which we will take a look at in a moment. And I did that. It was quite easy. So it's definitely a benefit if you use Guix to try this in this way. Also, the releases section contains the patch for DWL and assortment of useful packages that provide additional functionality. So DWL, like DWM, is pretty bare bones by default, and a lot of people will apply community patches to DWM or DWL to add extra functionality. So it sounds like certain things like these 4 patches have been applied already to dwl-guile. So gaps, which is kind of a nice thing to have. You see, like, you know, my Firefox window here has like a gap around the edges with sway. So that kind of thing, like having a little border around the window or padding. Cycle layout, which sounds like it might be pretty useful. Smart borders, which I'm guessing is the border of the window turns on or off depending on like if it's full screen or maybe if there's only one window present in the layout, that kind of thing. Drashal says, actually Qtile Wayland is pretty usable, but then I moved to Hyperland because I liked it more. I still need to try out Hyperland at some point. Benoit says, Hi goes from Hi to Python bytecode AST directly. Cool. All right, so let's take a look at then the other repo, which is the home service dwl-guile repo. So this is a channel. If you know, well, let me explain it to you whether you know it or not. In Guix, there's a concept of channels, which is like an additional repository of packages and services that you can pull into your Guix configuration. And it could be any Git repository anywhere. So this repo is a channel for Guix where you can put it into your channel configuration. They have an example here of what you have to add. So you just copy and paste this into your config Guix channels.scm file. And then you run Guix pull so that it pulls down the updated set of channels. And then you'll have access to the dwl-guile package plus the home service dwl-guile if you want to use that with Guix Home. We may try a little bit later to use that with Guix Home, but at first we're just going to use dwl-guile directly to experiment with it so that we don't have to worry about like rerunning Guix Home a bunch of times, because Guix Home is slow whenever you have like a full configuration. So let's just experiment without that at first. But it also explains the home service configuration. So if you want to use this with Guix Home, it's sort of a little example of the various things you can set. We're not going to look at that in very much detail. It sets up a shepherd service for dwl-guile that you can use. And then whenever you update your Guix Home configuration, I think it automatically reloads the config, which is kind of nice. A lot of services don't do that, but this one does. If you run Guix Home reconfigure and you've updated your dwl-guile home service configuration, it should push those updates to your running session, which could be good or bad depending on how long ago you updated your config, but whatever. Let's see. All right. Oh, and it seems they have some extra patches that they include that you can mix in. I don't see how to do that though. Maybe there is a thing to use for that. Oh, okay, so package, patch dwl-guile package. Oh, interesting. Okay. So maybe it does some dynamic changes to the dwl-guile package. Yeah, okay. I see what's happening here. That's pretty clever, actually. So what's happening in Guix, a package definition is an object in scheme. And what's happening here is that the package list for this program takes a DWL or a dwl-guile package. You can give it whatever package you want. If you made like a derivation of the package, derivation is the wrong word because it's overloaded. If you've made a customization of the package somehow and you want to use it, you could do that. But there is a special function called patch dwl-guile packages where you can take the original dwl-guile and apply patches to it to get certain functionality. And what I'm guessing is that it causes the underlying dwl.c to be recompiled with these patches included so that they are usable. So that will require the code to be compiled whenever you install this package, but I think this code is probably pretty simple, so it won't take that long. Anyway, worth looking at if you use Guix Home and you want to learn more about how to configure dwl-guile. So let's get started with actually using it. Let's run it. I will load up vterm, and then I will run dwl-guile, and we're going to see what happens here. You can see that I ran it before. And apparently you need to pass it a configuration. No. A configuration file. I think I said dwl-config.scm, which is an empty file. So when you run a Wayland Compositor inside of another Wayland session, it just like opens it as another sub window, effectively a sub session. But it is a black screen right now, probably because we haven't actually told it to do anything yet, or we haven't got a way to launch programs in it. So we'll have to figure that out to be able to see any of the functionality. And probably at some point we'll have to run it directly because we're going to have key binding conflicts between Sway and dwl-guile. So we'll give that a look in a little bit. But black screen at first. Let's see if the default config tells us anything. So set TTY keys, Control Alt. These look like Emacs style key bindings. Set tag keys, so super and shift super. I don't know what that means. We'd have to look at the definition for that. I don't know about inhibit defaults, if that is being used or not. Maybe some of these things are already turned on. So super F is for full screen. I mean, it's pretty similar looking to Emacs bindings. I don't know why you need to have symbols here, though. That's fine. Let's see. JKLH. Interesting. So shift return spawns the foot terminal. Maybe what we can do is try to like rebind some stuff and just see what we can do with it. Also, DWL spawn. So maybe I can set a binding to spawn an Emacs client instance. See what happens. So I'll go into this dwl-config.scm. I'll paste in this code. Super D. Do I have super D bound to anything? No. So I can use that. And I will set that to fuzzle. But I also have some special customization for fuzzle. So config, sway, config, fuzzle. Let me copy this really quick. Have to do a little escaping on some things here. Whoa. Okay, then this one here. Okay, so that should be able to spawn that, and then shift return. I don't have that bound to anything either. I can run Emacs client. Okay, the rest of these, I'll just leave them as they are. So now that I've got that set up, I can go back into vterm and try to run dwl-config again. So I'm going to try to run super D. Okay, it didn't do anything. Let me full screen it. Super D. Super enter. I wonder if Sway is eating those keys. Maybe I'll have to actually go into... Oh, here we go. Do I have to... Huh. Okay, so it's trying to do something. It did get the key binding triggered, but it's not picking up my new configuration, which is kind of weird. I saved that. Okay. So maybe if I check the, let's see, dwl-guile help. Whoops. Help. Really? Startup command, E expression to evaluate. I wonder what startup command would be in this case. So dwl-guile-s Emacs client. How about that? Oh, whatever. Is it doing anything? No. Okay. Oh, file name or argument required. Cool. Apparently I've forgotten how to run Emacs client. Is it -C, right? Okay, let's try that this time. Just to see something actually show up. Hey, there we go. So there's a nested, whoa, wait, no, that's not right. That's outside. Yeah. It probably has to be run inside the other Wayland session. Ah, cool. Case is sending a link to an Emacs Wayland Compositor. I'll take a look at that one in a minute. All right, so we got to figure out why this configuration is not being picked up. Default.scm contains an example config. You can script the configuration to your heart's content. I saw another init.scm file in here, so I wonder what that has in it. setq-arg, setq. It pains my soul to see setq written in scheme code. Because normally it's set exclamation point, but apparently setq is being written to be equivalent to what Emacs does, I guess. So there's a REPL. We could try to connect to the REPL and see what happens. DWL start REPL server. I wonder if that gets run by default. Start REPL server. Nope. Show options. Oh, so there's not very much in here. So let's see. Let me try, doing some schemishness here. Display hello crafters. Will we actually see this get written out whenever the config gets loaded? Yes. So it does get written out. That file is being loaded. So whatever set keys is doing is not actually getting picked up, which is a little bit strange. There was something about inhibit defaults. And I don't even know where this should be applied. But maybe if I look at the code, let's see. Inhibit defaults. Ah, there's an org file, which looks like it's probably getting spit out to a man page. Great. So inhibit defaults. Cool. All right, so this is good. They actually have documentation to some degree here, which is nice. But where is this inhibit defaults used? Set of default configuration settings, including the key bindings above, will load automatically unless inhibit defaults is set to T. A few of the configuration options are mandatory and cannot be inhibited. Hey, Antonio. Antonio says, I've been using DWL till last week. It was superb, but adding patches to the basic config gets really complicated over time. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. The thing about DWM is that DWM development is basically stopped. So it's easy to put patches on top of DWM as a base because it doesn't change, or at least my expectation is that it doesn't change. But if DWL is constantly being changed, then it's going to be hard to keep patches up to date. It's mandatory to set the number of tags. Okay. Layouts. Okay. Cool. Monitor rule. Hey, monitor rules I like. I always like to see monitor rules, especially whenever you can set it with the actual names of the devices and the resolutions and positions. Pretty nice. Client rules can be set. I like that. Setting colors, hooks. 2 hooks exist in dwl-guile, hook startup and hook quit. They can run some user-defined code on startup or upon exit. Manual says, try reducing the number of keys in the config. Keep it as simple as possible to see if the problem persists. Yeah, we'll have to do that. But I think what's happening is that possibly the default configuration is being loaded, and it might be getting loaded after the config that I passed to it. So it's overriding the bindings that I'm setting, which would be a little bit weird. It shouldn't do that. Let me go back and look at that default config, wherever that is. Not there. It's going to be inside of the share folder. Defaults. Set keys, set tag keys. This file will only be loaded if inhibit defaults is false. So is that something that's in the home service config? Inhibit defaults. Oh, here we are. Set Q inhibit defaults T. All right. Gotcha. That's what's happening. So I was right. Apparently your config file gets loaded first, and then they run the defaults if, unless you inhibit the defaults. So let's do this. Inhibit the defaults so that we can control the keys. Here we go. Now we're going to make some progress. So I am going to use super D. Well, that didn't work. Super enter. No. No such file or directory. Why not? It is doing what I asked it to do, which is to execute that program. I wonder if I'm just, oh, I need to set this. What did I do with fuzzle that is different here? Exec fuzzle. I suppose if I just take out some of the parameters, maybe that will help. Let's try that again. Super enter. Still nothing. All right, so something weird is happening. I got a feeling we need to go into the terminal and try to run this directly and not in a nested session. It's probably related to the fact that Sway already has control over the session. I would hope that's not the case, but who knows. So let's try that. I'm going to bounce out of my Sway session here. Let me just make sure everything's going to be cool when I do that. No signal. Cool. dwl-guile-c, right? dwl-config.scm. Let's see what happens. Oh boy. It's going to be fun if I can't get out of this. So I did super enter. None of the key bindings are working. Lovely. Okay. I wonder what the binding was for quitting. Let me pull it up on my other machine, because obviously I'm going to have to find that out. So dwl-guile, if anybody can tell me what the key binding is for quitting out of the session, the default binding, because I do have them all set up. But I'm also looking it up at the same time. Defaults, it would be super shift escape. Is that right? XF86 power off. All right. So super shift escape. Hey, it actually worked. Thank goodness. Yeah, I could actually use the keys to get to a terminal, but the problem is that I think that I would end up with my terminal showing on the screen, and I don't want to like leak my password. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Cool. So now we're back in Sway. No problem. I think that there's some issue with how dwl-guile has access to the environment, which is a little bit weird, to be honest. It shouldn't actually have any trouble there. Oh, Christopher says it's interpreting the whole thing in quotes as a single file name. You could be right. Let's see. maybe I'm doing something wrong. We don't have a good example of sending parameters. We need to see what DWL spawn has in it. If DWL spawn, you need to send it like a list of strings or something. DWL spawn. Let's find out where that is. Binary path -E. That's a totally normal key binding. Yeah, that... Never seen that one before. I don't know if Case is being sarcastic. Okay. So far, I don't see any example of something that is more than one part of the string, or like it's like actually has parameters. Spawn. DWL spawn. I'm looking at the man page here, which is probably not the best way to do this. Gabriel says, which Windows manager do you use? I'm using Sway at the moment, but we're trying to use dwl-guile. So let's go back to the org file. DWL spawn. Yeah, no real explanation of that. It looks like this takes multiple parameters. So I'm guessing the C code is what we need to be looking at. So DCS, D scheme, what was it? Binding spawn. All right, here we go. Args. For loop, I to length, length is length of args. Okay, so it's individual parameters. Cool, good to know. So that actually might solve our problem. We might be able to try this inside of Sway without having to flop back out. Case says Microsoft. That's not that's not exactly incorrect, but also, you know. Okay, anyway, let's go into DWL config. Emmanuel says, you wrote the System Crapper song. No, I did not. If you check the description of the video, there are some songs that I pulled off of a Creative Commons website. So I don't want to do like this whole fuzzle line here. So, Case. All right. Let's take this out for a second. And then I'm just going to say fuzzle. I don't know what it's going to do without all my customizations, but I think it should work. I'll leave the no fuzzy in. Don't ask me why. Oh, but I need to make it multiple strings, so we'll do it like this. And also this one needs to be multiple strings. Whoops. All right, now we'll hop back into DWM. Sorry, vterm. So super D. Boom. All right, now we have some things working, which is good. It looks a little bit blurry, probably because it's a nested session, but at least we have a program launcher working. I could run Emacs from there if I wanted to, or whatever other programs I have in here. What would be worth running? HTOP has a desktop file. That's kind of surprising. Let's run Alacrity. Is it going to run? It didn't. Actually, I've been having problems with Alacrity since I updated Guix, so maybe there's something going on there. Super enter. Did I do that wrong? Ah, there it is. It's still popping up in the wrong place. I don't get that. Maybe the Wayland session environment variables are set up wrong. Case says, how hard would it be to write Guile glue code straight to WL roots? Not super easy, but it is certainly doable. Certainly doable. You could definitely write a Guile window manager, sorry, compositor directly against WL roots, but it would be a lot of work, I think. However, if what you did is start with just making a kind of a faithful set of bindings that might actually, I don't know if it's possible to dynamically generate bindings to WL roots, like if they've got like a metadata file or a API definition that you could take and use a tool to generate bindings for. But if you could do that and you could get a pretty well covered set of bindings for WL roots, then conceivably you could live code the development of the compositor and window manager through a REPL, because you can just build on top of the bindings that are directly against WL roots. Benoit says, did you need to capture the Wayland session for some bindings to work? Maybe. I don't know how to do that. But at least we know that we can launch programs now. If I can launch Emacs from within the dwl-guile session, we might be able to have some success. So I'm trying to think if I want to just, go straight into using the window manager directly, because, we might have to restart a few times, but it could work. Because when I run sway, I'm not doing anything special. I'm just running sway, literally the command sway on the command line. Kay says that would be a very cool stream idea. Well, it would also take many streams to get right, and I don't think people would be super interested to watch me do that. But maybe, yeah. I would like to do it at some point, for sure. Right, an actual, honest to God, Wayland Compositor with Scheme. Okay, so let's try it. Let's just get back out. Now that I know I can launch programs. In fact, let's make sure. Let's just make sure. Let's use Fuzzle to launch Emacs. Okay, Emacs launches. It's going to complain that the server is running. That's cool. But that just means that we can actually get into it when we need to. Cool. Good. I want to change one thing, though, because I hate the key binding for quitting. So I'm going to change this to, what did I use? Shift. Oh, okay. I just use Shift Super Q to quit. So I'm going to change mine here because I don't like that. I use different bindings for a lot of this stuff. Seems a little bit unorthodox, but maybe it's just because of what I'm used to. Okay, so we're going to try this. We're going to get out of here, and we're going to run dwl-guile directly. Okay, I will run dwl-guile. Now, the problem is you can't see. Oh, you could probably see here. Can you see that? Woo, the text is way too small. Can you open Emacs Client C? Yeah, I did that. And it didn't work so well. Okay, so the problem we have right now, obviously Emacs loaded up, it's all good. It's usable, that's cool. But I don't actually have the ability to set display settings because I don't know how to do that yet. So, all right, sorry, we're gonna jump back out again. We're gonna check my key binding to see if quit works. Okay, cool, quit worked. So before we get too heavy into going straight into dwl-guile and trying to hack it while we're using it fully, I'm going to try to figure out a little bit of display setting stuff first, at least to set the DPI, because the DPI needs to be changed on that display to be visible. I'll see what other things I can set up at the same time. Odd Merlin says, I've been wanting to switch to Guix for a while now, currently on NixOS, but I've been mostly unsure about how well I would be able to get certain apps or games working. That's always a problem, but if you use Flatpak and install Steam through Flatpak, if you use Steam, then you can get pretty good results with that. And there's also a Steam installer on the non-Guix repo, so if you wanted to install like Steam directly, you could do that. All right, so let's get into it. What I want to do is look at that screen configuration. There's layout configs. There's tags. You can't do name tags probably. Oh, maybe you can. Map number to string iota91. So let's try this. Doesn't seem to have a bar, but maybe if I run what's it called? Waybar, right? So let's go into DWL config. I'm guessing I can use DWL spawn, and Emacs does not like that naming convention, even though it's perfectly valid scheme code. Waybar, right? And in fact, let me pull up my sway config on the side here. Config, sway, config. What programs am I running here? So I'm running Waybar and Dunst. And nm applet -- indicator. I don't really need to do all these, but hey, let's take a look at it. udisky-t. I won't put gamma step in there yet. And then at the end, I spawn Emacs, because obviously Emacs is the most important program in the entire universe. Emacs. Here, I will take that tag list. I'll put it up here more toward the top, because it's kind of a critical core piece of stuff. And I'll change this to be a list of strings. Yeah, thank you, Copilot, for suggesting that. Chat, dev, web. What did I call my other stuff? Yeah, I need to change my naming of things because I changed how I use my workspaces. MISC, okay. So that should work. Launching Waybar in theory should allow us to see our workspace information, which would be nice. What about switching to other workspaces, or as they call them, tags? Do I have that default file up here somewhere? Yeah, I need to do this, because that's part of the default config, which I'm turning off. I'll put it right here. Did I want udisky-t? Did I do that wrong? Yes, thank you. Thank you to Tim for catching that. Hey, Tomas. Thomas says, you should use Jitsu, some full HD monitor for the streaming, so you wouldn't need to fiddle with scaling. Yeah. But my problem is that I'm a little bit too hung up on how good fonts look in high DPI screens. So that's just my own little personal problem there. Setting these settings here for G settings, I'll leave that out for now. Setting up sway lock, that would be pretty useful, I think, but we won't do that yet. And is there a command for switching workspaces? Let's look at the man page. Tag. Default key bindings are S1 through 9, show all windows with a tag. Tag. Oh, wait. Change monitor focus. Move tag to monitor. Ah, okay. Client rules. So am I right about that? IOTA 9.1. Let me run this because I'm not certain what this is doing. I think this is converting numbers to strings for the tag names, but you know, you can never be sure. Geyser. Yeah, okay, so just making strings. Fine. Alejandro says, have you tried sway NC instead of dunce? I have not. I haven't tried anything else because dunce just works for me. So if there's better options, I'm certainly interested to try them. So what I wanted was, let's see, display. No. Monitor. Monitor rules. Master factor. What does that mean? I'm guessing that's a scale factor. Oh, scale 1? We need some better documentation on that. Unless this is like... So maybe this is wrapping some DWL configuration stuff. Let's search for the word master in here. Okay. in master. I'm guessing that means the master display. DRM master. Don't know what that means. And it must be some terminology. udisky is pretty nice. It's, you know, there's a certain subset of programs that make a desktop Linux experience better, where, you know, you plug in a USB storage device and you see a notification and you can easily go to the drive. For me, since I'm not using like GNOME or KDE or any like heavy desktop environment, or yeah, would you call it that? Desktop environment? Yeah. Anyway, not having all that stuff sort of built in, you got to find it some way yourself. So udisky is a great way to have that kind of functionality. Like udisky, nmapplet, and gamma step are kind of like the best things you can be running for getting some of that comfort of the bigger desktop environments without having to install all the extra crap that comes with them. Huh. Oh, okay. Interesting here. This is in the init.scm. They have a default monitor rule. Masters 1, master factor 055, don't know why. Scale 1, transform normal. I'm just going to use this and set the scale to 2. How about that? But I really would like to know what this masters thing is all about, because I have no idea what that means. Say what again? I don't know what I said. Oh, gamma step. Yes, gamma step. So if you've ever used Redshift, basically it sets the color temperature of your monitor as it gets dark outside so you don't blind yourself like I'm doing right now, because gamma step is... Let's see, can I turn that on for myself? Oh, is auto start not turned on? It's not dark outside yet, so that's probably why. Anyway, gamma step, good program. I like it a lot. Very useful. So we've got a monitor set up here. I turned scale to 2. I'm guessing that's going to do the trick. Let's take a look one more time at what's here. To configure a dual monitor setup. All right, that's what I want. 2 horizontally adjacent monitors, you can write something like this. That's what I want. So I'll copy this. I don't know why there's a .b in there. That must be a man file thing. All right, so my displays on this machine are called HDMI A1. That's what I want to be my primary. And then there's also, I don't know which one it is. Let's take a look at sway. So back into vterm, I'll say sway message t get, what is it, displays? Monitors. Man, sway message. I've forgotten. Does it have the command list in here? Get outputs. Okay, that's the one. Come on now. All right, so I have HDMI A1 and EDP2. Curious. Oh. Okay. EDP2. Can I set the width and height on these also? Take the B out. Scale 2. And I was setting the scale to 2. Okay, that explains some things. Let's set the scale to 2 on that one too, eh? Also, the width and height, I'm going to guess that this is valid. 2560 by 1440. I'll set the X of this one to 2560. I'll set the Y. Let's do a little back quoting here because I want to do some math. This is probably not going to work very well, but 1440 divided by 2. Yeah, thanks Copilot for screwing up my... Oh, well, I guess Lispy did that. Let's not blame Copilot right now. So 1440 divided by 2 minus This is really dumb, but actually it's kind of nice to see that this could work. I need the size for this one to be the actual normal size that I would use, which would be 4K on my other screen. So what is the 4K resolution? 4K resolution. All right, 3840 by 2160. 2160. So 2160 divided by 2 minus 1440 divided by 2. That might be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Okay, so we've got some rules set up here. I have no idea if this is going to work right, but we're going to find out in a minute. And if it's not right, I should be able to go and fix it. Oh, that's not right. Oh, that is right. Okay. And let me double check the output name I'm using. HDMI A1. Okay, cool. All right, so let's take this out temporarily, and then I can try to run this for real. For realsies. Let's go. Now, I'm loading up dwl-guile. Interesting. The scale seems to be right. That's a good sign. However, I don't know how, excuse me, how to get the tag to show up in the right place. Okay, so tag number 2. Oh, who knows which place that went to. I'm trying to move. Oh, can I do, There's some key binding that's supposed to have. I can see something on my other screen, so don't worry. This is actually working. It's just not showing up where I expected it to. Yeah, you can't see anything, can you? See Alejandro. Hey, Osloy. There was like the, oh, the Masters 1. Hey, stop that. Whoa. There we go. I don't know what this Masters things means, but I'm going to put it here. Yes, it's not visible right now because I need to fix everything. All right, there's a reload command somewhere probably. Resize, view, shift left, or super left. Oh, left, okay. Focus monitor. Does each monitor have its own tag list? Tag monitor. Oh, there it is. Okay, now it's visible, right? And it the size is okay. It's not as big as it could be, but at least we can see something. Now, let's see. Can we set up? Let me see. Can I switch tags? All right, cool. I want to move this to tag 1. Now I want to run Firefox. Whoops. Firefox. Cool. I have Firefox here. Now you can see that it is a dynamic tiler. It pulled this up on the right side. That's cool. Or this pulled Firefox here. Let me move this to tag number 2. Now I can switch back and forth. That's nice. I don't know why this is happening. All right, cool. So at least browser tabs are working. Caps lock. How do I deal with caps lock rebinding? Because I need to be able to set that right. Key. X keyboard config. That's interesting. Do you not have sound? Check, check. I see sound on my side. So let me know if you do have issue. Okay. All right, so DWL view to set keys. Asynchronous key bindings. Oh, XKB rules. Nice. Let me see if I can pull up what I'm doing in Sway. Because I need to get that caps lock set correctly. Otherwise, I'm going to go crazy. Hey, there it is. XKB options. Nice. Set XKB rules. I think I just need to use the options part of that. So if I set this up, we're going to try to do some dynamic reloading here in just a second. So, come on now. There we are. Key input feels a little bit laggy to me. I don't know if that's Emacs or something else. And why am I missing closing parentheses here? What happened? Okay, because I pasted it in the wrong place. Great. Let's delete these B's. What I need is the XKB layout, which I'm guessing I can just put in as a string here. I hope so. And then I'll keep the options and put in control : no caps. Thank you. I don't need all that extra stuff. Control Q. Let's just close out this thing here. Caps lock is killing me. Okay. Probably need to set repeat rate. I'm touching the keys. Oh, thank you, Eric. That makes sense. Okay, so Eric is saying that masters is probably related to the layout. So it means that there's one master window, and then the factor for the secondary windows, I'm guessing they're called the slave windows because we're using antiquated terminology here. The factor is 0.55. Thank you, Eric. I think you're right about that. So I want to try to set the REPL up, but I'm not sure exactly how to do that. There is a command I need to run to start the REPL. I saw that in the init file. REPL. Start REPL server. Starts a local REPL server. Does it take a port? Whoops. What did I just do? REPL. So dwl start REPL server. If I do that from the command line, I think it should work. So if I were to load up vterm and say dwl-guile -e dwl start REPL server. Okay, so that, I think that probably means that the function executed and didn't return anything, which is fine. So the REPL should be running in theory. Question is it on a port? Geyser connect local. Specifying the Unix socket path. Where is it? Geyser connect local. Where would that be? Explicitly called in order for the REPL server to be started. Well, I need to copy that and put it into my configuration. So let me just grab that really quickly. Yeah, the key input is lagging big time. Not sure what the deal is there. But it could be key repeat. Maybe you're right. I think Jeff said that. Yeah. All right. I need to go back into my DWL config. Let's put this up at the top. I always want the REPL server to start because I want to be able to control this. In fact, we can delete this little bit here as well. Start the REPL connect via MX geyser connect local. All right. Socket path is dependent on the type of build, stable or devel. Therefore, this variable is set during the initial configuration. Here it is. So there's a variable, and maybe if I go to the command line once more, That's not true. I'm having to very gingerly touch my key bindings because I don't know which keys I'm going to be pressing at any given moment. dwl-guile-e. Let's eval that. Oh, come on. Really? Is that like a local variable somewhere? File exists. Where is that defined? Probably in the code. Search. REPL socket path. Is this like the typical Guile path? REPL socket path? Where is this coming from? Is it in this file? No. Come on. REPL socket path. That must be coming from guile.h. I can't use caps lock. REPL socket path guile. Seriously? Great. Guile manual, REPL. How is this not found? Guile scheme. Go another way around to get there. What is happening? All right, is GNU.org having problems right now? Something very strange is going on. Guile scheme. Can I seriously not get to the Guile website at the moment? GNU.org/software/Guile. Okay, something weird is going on. So let's stop being silly for a minute and go to info mode and look for Guile here because it will be here somewhere. Guile reference. Okay. So what am I looking for now? I'm looking for REPL. Concept index. There's a variable index too. I don't know if, whoa, nah, that's not what I wanted. I could go from here though. REPL server, REPL servers. Okay, so temp/Guile socket. All right, let me check. You know, we're making some progress here, but it's not going as fast as I'd like. So ls/temp/g. I'm not seeing anything. D? Okay, there it is. dwl-guile.socket. So if I run geyser connect local temp/dwl-guile socket. Boom. Now we have a geyser REPL directly into DWL. I will copy and paste this. So this configuration that we put together today, I'm going to put it in the show notes so that you have access to it. Show notes link is in the description if you want to try this yourself. Yeah, somebody broke the GNU website, it seems. Something weird's going on there. Cool. So we will go drop this little link up in here. Oh, wow. What did I just do? I didn't want that. Ret. There we go. That works, right? Ret. Oh my God. I keep hitting caps lock and clearly it's wreaking havoc. Okay, now I should be able to eval geyser set REPL. How do I... Okay, so it's got the right REPL wired up. Let me run this set xkb rules. Okay. So, no. That didn't work. But maybe setting xkb rules doesn't work in real time. I really screwed that up. It could be that I'm doing it wrong too. Very possible. Let's see. What else can I try that would make this... if I can run spawn on something. Oh, it never spawned Waybar, did it? There's Waybar. That's good. But why wasn't it there before? What about nm applet? Okay, there's nm applet running. That's cool. What about udisky? Okay, there's udisky running. That's great. I don't know why those didn't show up before. I don't see any workspace name here, but maybe that's a Waybar thing. Probably have to tell it something else. So Waybar dwl tags. Do I have to like have a... Is there a special build? Oh, it's a shell script. Wow. This seems to be a custom configuration. But why is it a shell script? Because you don't need that for Waybar. Emmanuel says, does this config run on other distros off the shelf? Probably not. One thing that you'll find about Guile is that, well, it depends on what you do. If you install Guix as a package manager on another distribution, and then you install this through Guix, it will probably work pretty well. But on other distributions, what I've noticed is that it can be fairly difficult to get Guile libraries installed because a lot of times they're not packaged in the distribution, and the way Guile works is that you kind of have to have them packaged for the distribution because there's no like standalone package manager. Well, there is a standalone package manager for Guile, but I've never really used it. I think it's called Guildhall or something. But Guix basically is the package manager for Guile, so you kind of need Guix for this to work correctly. But you can install Guix on other distros, so I don't really know how well it will work, but it's possible. So what is this doing? It's extracting information with a script, and then it's like sending messages to Waybar to update information or something. It seems pretty complex, I have to say. Whoa, caps lock, Waybar. You know, maybe what I should do, how do I set a display as the, what do you call it? The default. Monitor rules. It doesn't tell me anything about how to set the default display, because I would like to make this one that we're looking at right now the default, so that whenever I restart the window manager completely, we can get back to it fairly easily. Transform normal. There must be some stuff in the code that gives us information about this. So set monitor rules. Let's take a look at that really quickly. Set monitor rules. This may be in the init.scm file. No, it's a binding. So there's an actual function. Set mon rules. Okay, that's bindings.h. So we need to go into, oh, what is that? This seems to be the implementation function. Name Master factor, master scale, transform, layout. Do I just need to like call a function to switch to the one that I want to start with? Name. Is there a function for that? What was the focus monitor? So, and there's a direction, which I don't really like. I want to focus based on names. Focus monitor. Is it possible I could pass that instead? So it's a focus mon. Binding underscore focus mon. Sorry if this is completely boring, but you know, this is the only way to figure this out since there's not better documentation at the moment. Scheme to int. So whatever the value is evaling the value and returning an integer. And then focus mon gets called. Focus, whoa. Focus, wow, come on. Focus mon is probably being defined in config.h. Focus mon, come on. Focus mon. dwl.c, here it is. This would be much better if I had this code pulled down. I probably should actually do that, right? List length. Ah, okay, so this is like an integer index. Don't switch to disabled monitors. I++. Okay. Can I tell it focus mon 1? I guess we can try it, right? I mean, we got a REPL right here. Can I say dwl focus monitor 1? Okay. Wow. Which monitor am I on right now? Okay, focus monitor 0. That seemed to work, but it doesn't actually warp the mouse to go there, which is a little bit interesting. 2? 3? It does something. Let's say, where is the direction that I saw the thing for? Direction right. Yeah, it doesn't warp the mouse cursor, which is kind of a problem. Because as soon as you move the mouse, it refocuses this display. Okay, anyway, that's not really that important. Maybe you can invert the order of the monitors in definition. Maybe. I suppose that is possible. I don't know why. Well, okay. That's a good point. Since that's the only ordering that we actually have control over at the moment, let's just do that. I'll go pull these back in where they're supposed to be because I wasn't able to do it before. All right, so what I want to do is exit the window manager and come back in so that maybe this no caps works. I don't have an example of how to do this correctly, so I'm kind of grasping at straws here that these strings are actually going to do the right thing, but it's XKB rules, so it must actually work. All right, so let's bounce out of Emacs. Yes, I'm screaming at myself there. And exit the window manager, then I'm going to run it again. Interestingly, it's still putting it up on the wrong screen. What the hell did I just do? I have no idea what I just did. Wow. That looks cool. I really upset my HDMI capture device somehow. Hey, did I fix you? Yes? No? Okay. Yes, it will be available at the end of the stream, ADE. So after I made that change, oh, nope, caps lock still not working the right way. Don't know why that's not happening. DWL config. One of my computers is like sweating right now. I don't know what I did to it. All right, I'm gonna get back into the config where you can see it in just 1 second. I just need to undo what I did before. I think the ordering of the monitor rules has something to do with it. My input speed is a lot faster on this other display. I don't know what the deal is with that. It doesn't feel super sluggish like it did before. In fact, it's really fast. So maybe it was the display configuration that had something to do with it. Okay. So I'll restart again. Okay, yeah. For some reason, the order of the displays that I set up somehow affected the monitor initialization, and it really got upset. But that's all better now. Okay, so a couple things. One thing I noticed is that the launching that I'm doing here is not happening. And I wonder if there's an error from one of these things I'm running that's getting written to the console that I can't see, and it's causing the rest of this stuff not to be executed. I don't know for sure that that's the case, but that's sort of what I'm assuming at the moment. We tried running this set XKB rules before with the REPL, and it seemed to work, right? Come on now. /temp/ DWL. Okay, hey, there we go. So set XKB rules. This doesn't seem to be working at all. And these aren't spawning at startup. Maybe it's happening too soon. Is it possible that I need to like run them after Emacs, perhaps? To give everything time to start up? Who knows? I would like to know the answer to this situation with the caps lock though, because that's really annoying. Oh, I also need to change the binding for running Fuzzle because it's kind of killing me. Let's see if I can do this real time. Space, I'm hoping that's right. And then Control-Alt-X. Okay, now super space. No. There's a super shift space right here, so that space ought to work. It's kind of weird how some of these things don't seem to take effect after startup. You would think you should be able to change your key bindings. Odd Merlin says, could it be that they are being evaluated before it's fully initialized? Yeah, I'm getting a sense that that's probably what's happening. I don't know why I can't change my bindings though, unless somehow it doesn't like this binding and I just can't see the error. I need to pipe errors to the file so I can look at it while the program is running. DWL has a focus mod pointer patch to move the cursor to the focus monitor. Yeah, that's probably something that needs to be installed. Super plus mouse left moves windows. Okay, that works. Cool. Mouse middle toggle floating. All right. All right. Cool that is possible. Mouse right resizes the window. Nice. All right. Super tab does something. I don't know what that does. Super shift O shows all tags. Don't know how that's supposed to happen either. Set keys. I'm curious as to what these things are actually doing. Is set keys a macro? Set TTY keys, set keys. maybe Emacs isn't as connected to dwl-guile as it should be. It's working. I mean, the eval does work in some cases. It's just that some of these things are not taking effect as instantly as I would expect. Let me see if the docs says anything about that. Layouts, rules, hooks, key bindings. I mean, I'm getting feedback from the REPL saying that it's actually doing something. Let's try this. Let's just run set keys directly in the REPL. Oops. Yeah, let's just run that. Whoop. Okay, so in the REPL, it worked. So it makes me wonder, is it going to the wrong REPL somehow? That's pretty weird. There's some way to set which geyser REPL is associated with a buffer, I think. Debug switch to buffer. I think we got a docstring issue here with this. Return to the scheme buffer that pooped this debug window. Yeah, that's probably not what they meant to say. I think they meant popped. Wasn't there an on start hook? Ah, Odd Merlin. Good call on that. Let's see. On start. Whoa, where is the hooks section? Add hook. DWL hook quit. Sweet. DWL hook startup. Let's try that out. It looks very Emacs Lispy. So we're gonna drop these 3 spawns into this Lambda. Yeah, on this screen, the responsiveness of the keyboard is super slow. It may be because I'm capturing it, so I can't blame it entirely on the window manager. Launch helpful programs after init. Hey now. I don't know why the spawn of Emacs works though. Kind of weird. But maybe it's because these other programs need the environment to be fully initialized before they can show up in the right place, and Emacs doesn't. So it could just be because of that. In fact, I'll put Emacs in there as well, so we can see when this is all taking place. All right, just do that. Int. I meant to say init. Also, the whole caps thing. No caps. Let's try putting that in the REPL too and see if that does anything. Oh, come on. Unbound variable. Which part? Oh, this weird question mark that got inserted there. So, yeah, that did not help. All right, anyway, let's restart this and see what happens now that I put that startup. Oh, whoops. Did I do that? Maybe I did. We'll see. What did I do wrong? I can't even launch Waybar now. Okay. Let me fix this in Emacs on the command line for a second, and then we'll get back into it. DWL, oof. Yeah, okay, DWL config. I wish you could see this. Okay, it's hook startup, right? Startup, okay. And then the super space binding does not seem to be working, which is kind of weird. So I'm gonna put that back to super D. Unless, oh crap, it's because there's another super space binding in the list. All right, so that was working all along. It's just I'm being an idiot. All right, here we go. Back into dwl-guile. And everything shows up now. Cool. So we have the panel, the bar working. Is there a way to set a background on this? I'm kind of curious if I can set a background. I have to say, though, I'm pretty impressed so far that this is actually working. I don't know if I'll be able to replicate my Sway workflow with this, but the fact that it does work is promising. However, I think it's a little bit risky to be tied completely to DWL because as someone said earlier, I think it was Antonio who said that, it's hard to keep the patches up to date over time. So I don't know if at some point this needs to eventually become written in Guile completely and not depending on the original C code, because that would also enable new features to be added through Guile and not dependent on C plugins, which I don't really like too much, but you know, it all works pretty well for now. XKB rules, refer to the XKB manual for additional details. Well, it didn't work for me. Unless I did something wrong, which, you know, I've done a few things wrong so far, so who knows? Let's see, config, sway, config. Let me just double check. So input type keyboard. USGR, I mean, I could just put it to be US. Do I have the XKB manual available? vterm. Man XKB. No. Let's see, XKB. Do I even have it? XKB? No. So, Guix install XKB. Aha. Oh, okay. XKB utils. Guix search XKB. That's the utils. XKB comp. Print layout. Maybe XKB set. What was the other program I used to use for this? Set XKB something? I can't remember. Anyway. XKB manual. No caps. Is that what it's called? No caps. X keyboard config. No caps. Okay, control no caps. That's an option. Set XKB. Thank you, Fyodor. All right, so the other thing is the layout. US. And then there's a GR layout. Or Greek, I'm guessing. Is there just like a plain old US? All right, let's just go with plain old US here. And make sure we're doing the right thing. I would like an example of this set XKB rules, but you know, I could probably try to find the dot files of one of the creators and take a look at what they're doing in their config. See Guix dot files. I'm guessing that's where I want to look. 3 weeks ago, looks like it's being updated. So set XKB. No, we're not using it at all. What is another thing in this file? Set keys. It is possible. Okay, so I see set keys here. It is possible that the home service is doing something for this. Where is that? XKB. No. Control, no caps. That should be right. However, set XKB. So it says options here. Though I wonder if that's right. What if I search for set XKB, what was it? Rules? Okay. Zoomer speak indeed. No cap, we be bussin'. Yeah, I don't really speak Zoomer language. Okay, so there's a function for that. I'm guessing it's probably going to be inside of the options code, set XKB rules. Here we go. Come on. Come on, come on. This is super inefficient. Ah, right here in front of my face. Binding set. String to symbol, XKB rules. What? Binding set. Bruh. I don't know. This doesn't look like it's a legitimate function call. Because what is it actually doing? It can't be setting anything. DSCM binding set. Huh? Wait a second now. Did I type that wrong? Oh, it's a rest parameter? Yeah, can I just do that myself? I don't want to have to do that, but I didn't know if it still worked that way. But Jeff is suggesting I just use set XKB map myself. How about it? We could run dwl spawn. Stop that. Bad completion. Set XKB map. Hey, how about that? Thank you, Copilot. Lispy, give me a break. Seriously. I'm about to start cursing here. I got too many things going wrong. What is happening? Whoa. Oh, dude. I'm losing it. Okay, here we go. All right, we got that in. Let's see what happens whenever I try to eval that. In fact, I probably should put that... God. This is legitimately driving me crazy. All right, let's go right here into the startup hook. Now, I will connect local. I'll pull back up the socket, all right? And then I will try to run this. Okay. Nope, still not working. Not working at all. Though, I need to check that I have actual set XKB map installed, because I might have taken it out. Set X. All right. So Guix search set XKB map. Is that the reason why? Maybe it needs to have that program installed. And which Guix package is that in? If I were to go to my own .files repository, let's see. It should be in my old config around somewhere. Let's see, set xk. Ah, there's a package called that. Did I not see that? Okay. Almost done. This could be the reason why it hasn't been working for me. All right. Still not working. Let's look at the code one more time. And we're out of time right now, but I feel like we have gotten a pretty good sense that things can work. All right, it's not in this file, was it? Set xkb. No, it wasn't this file. It was in this file. Set xkb. Binding set. String to symbol xkb rules. And how is that significant? Then the binding set function, set rest, set setting into a hash table. I'm wondering if there's something like a function that needs to be called to make this actually take effect. Let's go in the REPL for a second. So dwl : what's in here? Set layout. Oh, yeah. Change gaps. What does change gaps do? If I do this, does it tell me anything? Does it need a parameter? It needs a parameter. What did it say about gaps in the documentation? It didn't, did it? If I go back to vterm, can I say man dwl-guile? Cool. So does it say anything about gaps in here? No. Maybe yeah, I know what gaps are, but it doesn't tell me how to configure them at all. But I see that there's a function inside the module related to gaps, change gaps. Toggle gaps. How about that? And how do I set it? Change gaps. Let's say change gaps 5. No. Change gaps inner, change gaps outer 5. Change gaps inner 5. Yeah, I don't know if that's doing anything. Toggle gaps. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it does work after all. So change gaps 5. Oh. So it keeps adding gaps. So how about -15? Yeah. Another -15. What about if you go below 0? Okay, at least it doesn't crash. That's what system crafting is all about. Just poking at it until things go horribly wrong. Okay. So let me put that in the config, actually, because that's kind of useful. I don't think it was on by default, but maybe it was. Who knows? I'll put it right here. Configure gaps. DWL change gaps 5. Okay, so that gives you at least a look at how to configure that setting. But I still don't know how to activate keyboard settings. List key sims, show key sims. Hey, Felipe. There does not seem to be a set gaps. What if I do this? Oh, there you go. Show key sims gives you a list. That's nice. So there's also the set functions. Set dash keys, rules, layouts. Can I like go to definition on something? Oh, these are all C functions. It probably won't work, will it? Let's try this. Geyser definition. No, it's probably xref, right? Xref definition. Find definitions. Tags table, no. There's too many possibilities in here. It's all modules. I don't want modules. I want function names to understand what I have available. Anyway, I think I'm out of time here. Overall, I think it's pretty interesting. There's a possibility here of having something that could be useful. If you're used to the DWM style dynamic window management, you might be able to build a configuration on this. There's other things we don't know yet, like for instance, things to figure out. Setting the background image. Fixing, what was it, caps? No, control no caps. Fixing, whoa. Fixing, control no caps. What else do we need to have a good experience? Setting desired layouts and switching them. But other than that, I mean, you know, most things that I would expect to see are working, and that's pretty nice. Let me check on something really quick. Okay, so interesting project. I'll keep an eye on this one because, you know, definitely has some potential for, you know, being a good citizen in the sort of Guile/Guix system crafting sphere. Since there's already a home service for Guix Home for this project, it might be pretty easy to work it into an existing configuration. I think it just needs to be documented a bit better so that people can understand how to do common things like the things I was trying to do just now. This is a very small project, I think. Maybe there's 1 or 2 people working on it, so obviously we can't, you know, expect it to be fully documented, but the fact is that there's a man page already is pretty nice. You know, it's nice to have that. I was able to get started fairly quickly. Had to do a little bit of guesswork, but it wasn't that bad. But anyway, hopefully this was interesting to those of you who are looking for a list-based Wayland window manager. Felipe says background image is probably done by another program. Is it not the case that Sway has its own way to do that? Because in Sway, I'm using, where is it? Output. So I'm just using the output configuration command, whatever that is inside of Sway. Maybe Sway in the back end is using Sway BG, but as a person who has only ever written the config this way, yeah, I didn't know that. So maybe Sway BG is the way to do that. So let's put that right there. Oh, also we'd probably want to set up Sway lock, Sway idle, things like that. I mean, just obvious things. Okay, anyway, I will put the configuration that we wrote here into the show notes, and that will be online in just a second, so you can go and play with this yourself. So let's see. Like I said, next week will be the official launch of the new System Crafters website. If you want to be notified when that happens, sign up for the System Crafters newsletter, which I have a link for in the chat. I didn't put it in, well, it's in the show notes. So if you go to the show notes, go to the description, there's a link to the show notes. The link to the newsletter page is there. You can sign up very easily. No spam, plain text only, no trackers, that kind of thing. So give it a look if you are interested in hearing more about what we're doing. And until next time, I hope you all have a great weekend and happy hacking. We'll see you.